Hey friends, it's Sheri. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to let you know about an upcoming virtual summit I'm a guest speaker at, and you can attend for free. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking to boost cash flow and leads, or a career professional ready to take the leap into entrepreneurship, this event is designed with your specific needs in mind. It's an opportunity you don't want to be missed. And I'm not exaggerating when I say it will be an epic experience. So join me and 15 plus other top female entrepreneur experts for the Rise of the Entrepreneur, Navigating the Entrepreneurial Landscape for Female Professionals 5-Day Summit. Together, we're going to dig deep into our wealth of expertise, offering invaluable support for career professionals and entrepreneurs like you. Every year, you see my friend Sheri Slace host this event, and collectively, she brings in over 4,000 women at all levels wanting to implement new strategies and take their businesses to the next level. And I'm so excited to be one of the guest speakers this year. And I'm also attending this event myself, and I would love to invite you to join me. So this 5-day virtual summit runs May 13th through 17th. And during that time, you can catch all the replays of the trainings like From Unknown to Unstoppable, Publicity Tactics for Fearless Female Entrepreneurs, or Manage Your Money Like a Boss, or Navigating the Entrepreneurial Landscape for Female Professionals, or this one I'm very interested about, Top 4 Legal Mistakes to Avoid on Your Online Business. And my topic is Unleash Your Strengths and Thrive in Entrepreneurship. So you're not going to want to miss this one, so reserve your spot now. Yep, go ahead. Put this episode on pause, go over and register, and then hop back in here to finish listening. All you have to do is head over to rebrand.ly/Rises Summit /Sheri Miter. So rebrand.ly/Rises Summit /Sheri Miter. I'm sorry, Rise Summit. There's only one S there. And I will put that link in the show notes for you as well. So do me one more favor. If you register, pop into our new Motivated for More Facebook group and let me know if you'll be watching the summit next week. We can compare notes together. All right, my friend. Hope to see you at the summit. And let's get back to today's episode. Hey friends, welcome back to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. I am your host, Sheri Miter, and today I've got a really interesting, well, I hope it's interesting to you, topic to talk about, and it's manifesting what you want in your life, which totally ties into manifesting your dream career. And whether or not you really believe in the law of attraction and manifestation or visioneering, hang out with me today. Really hang out with me because we're going to break through a couple of real life examples that, yeah, you know what? It really does work. But does it work for everything? I'm not really sure. So let's dive into today's episode and let me know your thoughts when we're all done. Welcome to the Discovering Your Calling podcast. I'm your host, Sheri Miter. I'm here to help you unleash your strengths and get clarity on your calling. I believe when you find your purpose in life, fulfillment, joy, and success will follow. If you're ready, pop in those earbuds, hit that follow button, and join me on this journey toward discovering your calling. So, manifesting what you want in life. Yeah, it really is it's woo-woo, right? It's out there. It's a little hard to understand. I remember when I first learned about manifesting, and maybe you did too, and the law of attraction from The Secret. Remember that? That was, huge in 2006. Watching it on TV, we read the books. Today, there are thousands of gurus out there talking about it on YouTube and in social media. And I'll be honest, I don't understand it. I don't really know how it works. I do believe it does work, but here's the thing. I also don't understand electricity. I don't understand how my cell phone can let me talk to my dad, who's thousands of miles away in real time. I don't understand how the TV pixels travel through space, but I trust that when I flip a switch, the light's going to come on. When I answer my phone, I'm going to hear another voice at the other end, no matter where they are in the world. And when we turn on the TV, if our internet is working properly, it will work. And it's the same thing with visioneering and manifesting what you want in life. I don't understand the science behind it. I know there is a science behind it, and I do appreciate that, but I kind of just trust that it works. And I don't really need to know all the details about how it works. And I hope after today's episode, you can, if you're not a believer yet in that whole law of attraction and manifesting and visioneering, I hope you will be a little closer to believing that it does work. And if you are someone who does believe in that, I hope it inspires you to take some action on some of those dreams. So there have been two recent experiences, recent meaning in the last year or two, in my life that have really solidified how powerful this can be. And I like to call it visioneering. That's what I learned that from a book I read a while back. I think it was Andy Stanley, maybe. Don't quote me on that, who the book was from. But I use visioneering as the word we talk about this concept in my Discovering Your Calling Academy with the students that come in there. But the first example I have, real life example, this happened to me. And this is something I did talk about this in a previous podcast. So if it sounds familiar to you, it might be a repeated story. But here's the thing. In 2015, I wrote out a new, what I call dream life statement. And this is an exercise that I learned to do in my network marketing days. I was still heavy in my network marketing during that season. And it's also something I do teach again in our Discovering Your Calling Academy. But it's where you take a journal, blank paper and your favorite pen, and you write out your dream life in detail. I mean, you include everything from, your career, obviously, to your relationships and how they feel. Where are you going to vacation? What is that going to, see, taste, and smell like? Where you live and, what you feel like, how you look, but like super, super detailed. So like if you're talking about where you live, it's like, how is your home decorated? What style is it? What community do you live in? When you wake up, where are you sitting with your favorite, what does your favorite mug look like? And what's your favorite chair that you sit in the morning for maybe your prayer time? Or, do you have a beautiful sunset view that you sip a glass of wine, on the back deck so you can enjoy the sunset? Like, really, really details so that it moves you emotionally. The more it moves you emotionally, the more impactful it can be. So I did that in 2015. And that was also the first year that Tom, my husband, and I were really seriously starting to talk about what life would look like when he would eventually retire from the fire department. And we had been started dreaming really a lot that year about someday having a bigger sailboat to travel on. And one of the things I wrote in that particular dream life statement, which by the way was a statement I read, here's the other piece of that. Not only do you write it out, but you read it to yourself every single morning. And if you want to be an A+ student, you read it to yourself at night before you go to bed. So it's the first thoughts you have in the morning, and it's the last thing you're thinking when you go to bed. And that's part of the whole manifestation law of attraction. So anyway, one of the things I had wrote in that statement that I was reading every single morning, and this is what I really want to share with you today, was that part of it, and you also write it in the present tense as if you're living it now. Maybe I'll do a podcast on exactly how to write out a dream life statement. Let me know if that would be helpful to you and if that's something you would love to hear in the future. I can do, or maybe a little workshop in the Facebook community. So anyway, side note there. But I had wrote out that we had purchased a 42-foot sailboat. Now, if you've been following our journey, last spring, we purchased, this is 2023, this happened. So how many years is that? 8 years later, we purchased a 42-foot sailboat. Now, we never talked about it. We never said that's the exact size that we're going to have. We were looking at 40 to 44. size sailboats. But how powerful that is how powerful having those vision statements is. It was, and I didn't even realize that until I found this journal when we were packing our house up to move onto that 42-foot sailboat last summer. I found this journal and I opened it up and I saw that, like, it jumped out of the page at me. It's like, oh my gosh, we did this. Like, it's exactly what was written in my book. Now, here's the funny thing though, and I did not share this when I shared the story before, is as I'm rereading it today, now fast forward, we moved onto that sailboat, we lived on that sailboat, we decided living on a sailboat was not the ideal life for us. But I wrote in my dream life statement about the weekends and the excursions that we would enjoy on that boat. I never wrote that we would be living on it full time. So I think my subconscious mind knew better than we did that we were never supposed to live on that boat. So little side note again to this topic today. I just found that kind of humorous. And if you don't know our story, go back and listen to some past episodes about our journey on the boat and why we stopped doing that. Now, did everything come true on that dream life statement? Maybe not. And I've got more to share about that. So hang out with me because I want to share one more super crazy story about the law of attraction and manifesting things. So 2 years ago, we went on a tour with a real estate agent in what's called the Delmarva Peninsula. And Delmarva is Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. So it's on the beaches. We have been vacationing in this area with our family for a couple of years, and Tom and I have came back and we just really fell in love with this whole area. And we knew that when we were done with the boating excursion or the boating, living on the boat, that this was an area we wanted to see if it's where we wanted to settle down and retire, live, retirement living. So we had hired, we didn't hire, but we had asked a real estate agent in the area to, take us around, show us different properties. We knew we wanted a community type living. Well, we thought we did. So we just wanted to see, some examples. What are the houses going for? What areas do we like? What do we not like? All the things you do when you're moving into a brand new area. And we toured about 4 to 5 different communities, these resort style communities. But one of them really stood out to us, and it was called Millville by the Sea. It checked off a lot of our wants of our next home. It was it had a fabulous community center. It seemed to be very vibrant, very active. All different ages live here. Really, really cool, awesome pool that we knew our grandkids would be so excited to come and visit us and hang out and play in the pool. On-site gym, that was important to Tom especially, and myself. It was a bike ride to the beach, which was part of our goal because we can't afford to live, walking distance to the beach. But our next goal was can we afford to live a bike ride from the beach? It's in a quieter part of the Delmarva Peninsula, so it's not as busy as some of the other areas. And the homes were in our price range. So it checked off all those boxes. And we kept thinking about it. And ever since then, I've always gotten the Zillow, I have the Zillow app, and the real estate agent keeps me on her email list. So, we keep peeking at houses in this area and other areas too. But this Millville by the Sea we kept gravitating towards it. So fast forward 2 years. So this was 2 years ago. We went on the tour with the real estate agent. We've done the boating thing. Well, Tom retired. We did the boating thing. And now we're really ready to settle down in this area and move back onto land. So I found us a 2-month furnished rental on Furnished Finders, which is an awesome service that we could stay at until the summer season. Because then, the woman who owns it, she's like, then I book it weekly. We couldn't afford to do that. So we were settled for we knew we had 2 months. So from March 1st is when we moved back on land, sold the boat, moved back on land until the beginning of May. We were set, but we needed to find a long-term, year-long rental, which is not really easy to do in this area because most people want to rent it for vacationers. So I had posted in a Bethany Beach is the area we're in. And I had posted in a Bethany Beach Facebook community that we were looking for a year-long rental and kind of, some of the things we would like to have. And because we wanted to rent for a year before investing in something, just to make sure it really is where we want to live. We didn't want the same thing to happen like happened with the boat. A house is much harder to sell than a boat. So anyway, long story shorter, a few days after I created that post, which by the way, 20 something people gave us, advice or, suggestions or had a house to look at, and just nothing felt right. But a few days after I posted, a woman named Laura reached out to me on a private message. And she had saw my post. She didn't comment on it, but she saw it. But she privately messaged me to let me know that she was about to close on a brand new villa, that's a fancy word for duplex, and would be offering it as a long-term rental starting around May 1st. Perfect. And it was located in, you guessed it probably, Millville by the Sea. Like, perfect. When I saw that, I was so excited to let Tom know. I was like, oh my gosh, we can actually test this out. We can live there for a year renting to see if we really want to live there forever. So totally excited about it. It aligned with the rental dates for the temporary house we were in that we could stay in until the beginning of May. And today that I'm recording this episode is May 11th. So we've been in here a little over a week now, and we are so in love with this home. It's met our expectations and then some living in the community. But here's the big but. And in true, if you remember him, Paul Harvey fashion, here's the rest of the story. And this is the power of that law of attraction and the power of manifesting and the power of visioneering and the power of just trusting that God has a plan. We met Laura, our now landlord, 3 summers ago on our very first family vacation to this area. Now, neither one of us realized that when we connected on Facebook about us renting her new home. We had no idea because when we met, I don't think either of us knew what our last names were. We had met on the beach when we were here. And it was so funny because when we met, we were hanging out on the beach. We had our family. We have 3 grown sons. At that point, we had 4 grandkids, so our life it's chaos when we're all together. And it's fun though. We have a fun vibe. We had our Kenny Chesney music playing, just having a great time. And Laura and her partner happened to sit near us on the beach, and they commented how they loved our music. They're like, hey, turn it up. Laura played with our grandkids. Laura's in law enforcement. So of course she loved talking to my husband and our sons who are firefighters. Bree is a teacher, so she connected with my other daughter-in-law. And just everybody, we just all got along really, really well that day. And then we ran into them once or twice later, I think, too, like when they were out walking their dogs in the morning. We were getting set up on the beach the next couple of days. But we didn't really stay in touch, or at least I didn't stay in touch, and Laura didn't stay in touch. I think Bree, her partner, stayed in touch with one of my other daughter-in-laws. But so when Laura had reached out to me about this apartment, she had no idea who I was, and I had no idea who she was. It was when we finally met in person, because we corresponded on Facebook Messenger for probably 6 weeks, if not longer, about the apartment. And it was about a week before we were ready to move in, did we actually meet face to face. And as soon as she hopped out of our car to meet us at the house, my husband was the one that's like, looked at her and she looked at him, and they're like, wait a minute, we've met before. And they were like, are you Tom? Are you Laura? And then one of our sons was here visiting at that time. And we're all like, oh my gosh, we remembered you. They remembered us. So it was just such a cool moment. And again, that is the power of this visioneering, because little things, when we can put all the puzzle pieces going back, they all fit together beautifully. But moving forward, we don't know how all the puzzle pieces fit together. Only God knows what it's going to look like. And He knows that, I need to have these people meet. She's going to be their future landlord, but they won't know that for 2 more years, whatever the time frame was there. Like, how crazy is that? And again, I don't understand how it all works. And only God sees that path and all the pieces and really understands it, or whatever it is you believe knows how it all works. We just have to trust. We have to trust, just like that light switch. When I flip that switch, I know the light's going to come on. And that's the same way we need to be with this manifesting, visioneering, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. We just have to trust that it works and use it. Just like you use electricity without understanding it, just like you use your cell phone without necessarily understanding it, just like you use your TV without understanding it. Just trust that it works and use it. Now, back to the question. Did everything in that 2015 dream journal come true? No, not at all. But here's what I know now is many of the dreams are still being played out. Where we live, our kids' lives, they're still being played out. Some, like the boat, have totally changed directions, and others have shifted slightly. And again, after time passes and you can go back and look at things, you can see where and how God is unfolding some of those dreams, just maybe not in the way you originally pictured them. So for example, another thing I wrote about in that 2015 dream vision statement, dream life statement, was I wrote about my dream of, again in 2015, becoming the position of a national sales director, because I was still in my network marketing company, a direct sales company. And I described in detail, because remember, details matter. I described the women who were going to be the directors, because the national sales director is about leading leaders. And I described those leaders who would be in my national sales area. And I described them as faith-filled, ambitious, bold, courageous, confident, beautiful, tenacious, and hardworking. And I said, these women want to live and work by the philosophy of God first, family second, and career third, and that they are known for accomplishing much while still living lives filled with fun and family time. And that these women that I'm leading and coaching and mentoring desire to keep their priorities while working to their potential. And God has blessed our efforts. And as I reread that today in preparation for this podcast, I realized that God knew my path was not to become a national sales director, Mary Kay, but instead that I was called to coach, lead, and mentor these type of women in this business today in Sheri Miter Co., and the Discovering Your Calling Academy, as a strengths coach, as a business visionary strategist. That's where I'm called to work with these type of women. And that just truly inspired me when that connection happened. And as I close out here, I just want to add, because I feel so convicted today that yes, these are the women I want to work with. These are the women I'm called to work with, even though it looks different than what I thought from 2015. And if you can relate and you feel like, yes, that's the kind of woman I am or who I want to be that I just described, and feel free to rewind this and go back and listen to it again. And you're searching and praying for a way to keep your priorities in order and live a life of freedom and fun while working to your full potential, then I want to give you a special invitation. I have 2 spots left for one-on-one Discovering Your Calling coaching this summer. So if you're looking for more clarity and having a strategy to create a vision for your life by the end of the summer, where you could have that clarity. Let me backtrack there. Said that wrong. If you would love to have clarity and a strategy for your career and your life by the end of the summer, then let's do this together. And if you sign up by the end of May, you can still get the summer promo rate, which is a savings of over $300. And yes, inside the Discovering Your Calling Academy, we will work on visioneering your dream life, that is an important part of the Discovering Your Calling Academy that we do, because I have futuristic as my number 1 talent theme. So this is one of my favorite activities to guide students through. And you will learn how to dream again, That's something I realize a lot of my students don't know how to do it all anymore. You'll write out your dream life statement, and by the end of the 90 days, we will have created a strategy to help you move towards that ideal life and career. So if you're ready, let's connect and just see whether or not it's the right time and it's the right fit for you, the Discovering Your Calling Academy. And if you're ready to manifest your dream life. So if you're curious, I invite you to book a call with me. That's the best thing to do, or email me, and let's just have a conversation. So the best thing to book a call, I'll put these links in the show notes, but you can go to calendly.com/SheriMiterCo/Sheri's calendar to book a call, or send me an email at Sheri@SheriMiterCo.com. And we can have a conversation to see again if it's the right time, the right fit, and go from there. And if it's not, I can give you some tips on how to create your own dream life vision anyway. All right. So I will catch you back next week for another great episode of the Discovering Your Calling podcast. But in the meanwhile, just go make today an awesome day. You deserve it. And go live the life of your dreams. Thank you for spending this time with me. My hope is something you heard today inspires you to take action toward discovering your calling. I just have 2 favors to ask of you before you go. 1, if you found value and enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and you might hear your review read on a future episode. And 2, can you share this episode with 3 friends who will also enjoy it as much as you did? By doing these things, you will help us grow the podcast to make a bigger impact on the world. And until next week, remember, you've been created to live a life of fulfillment, freedom, purpose, success, and joy.